Before we dive into the hidden truths of biblical numbers, let's start with a shocking realization. The numbers you see every day, what if they hold the answers to the mysteries of the universe, waiting for you to decode them? Imagine, just for a moment, that every number in the Bible isn't just a random figure, but a message, a key to understanding God's divine plan, woven into the very fabric of creation. Why does the Bible use numbers so specifically? Is there something we've been missing for centuries? Something hidden in plain sight? You might think numbers are just numbers, simple, cold figures. But what if these numbers are alive, pulsating with divine meaning, waiting for you to unlock them? In this video, we are going to explore the deep, profound meanings behind biblical numerology. We will uncover the secrets hidden within the numbers 3, 7, 40, and even 666. You'll see that these numbers are more than just figures. They are the very heartbeat of God's Word, guiding us, warning us, and calling us to dive deeper into His truth. And just when you think you know it all, we will go beyond the obvious. What does the number 666 really signify about humanity's darkest choices? How does the number 12 relate to God's divine order for the universe? We'll go from the number of imperfection, 6, to the divine completion of 7, showing you how God's math isn't just about numbers, but about the completion of His eternal plan. Trust me, you are about to be shocked, inspired, and moved by what we're about to discover. These numbers don't just tell stories, they reshape your understanding of God's grand design. As we explore each of them, you will begin to see the Bible in a completely different light. This is not just about theology. This is about understanding the power of numbers in God's divine communication and how it is all connected to your life today. Will you look at the world the same after you uncover these truths? It's time to dive deep into the hidden numbers of the Bible and find out how they reveal the eternal truths we've been searching for. Comment below with your thoughts. Let's dive into this divine mystery together. Divine perfection, the power of 3. The number 3 echoes through the Bible like a sacred heartbeat, an eternal rhythm that resounds in the soul. It's not just a number, it's the divine essence of completeness. Have you ever wondered why the Bible repeatedly emphasizes the number 3? It's not random, it's a divine pattern designed to reveal God's perfect plan. The Holy Trinity, 3 in 1, embodies the fullness of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, a divine harmony that binds the heavens and earth. Consider the resurrection of Jesus, 3 days in the tomb, sealing the victory over death itself. Jonah spent 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, an act of obedience and repentance, echoing the resurrection to come. The seraphim in Isaiah's vision had 3 pairs of wings, representing the completeness of God's holiness and the divine order in the heavens. 3 signifies the fullness of God's presence, the fulfillment of His will. Why does God use 3 so often in His Word? Because it represents the perfect completion of His actions in the world. When God's work is done, it is finished in 3s. The number 3 doesn't just show up. It commands your attention. It calls you to recognize God's perfect balance, His eternal nature, and His everlasting will. It's a reminder that just as God is complete in Himself, He completes His work in you. When you look at the world through the lens of 3, it shifts everything. 3 isn't just a figure, it's the rhythm of creation itself. And every time you encounter the number 3, remember, God's work is perfect, and He has a perfect plan for you. The creation of divine order. Now, imagine stepping into the vast open world that God designed. You stand in awe knowing that every corner of creation was meticulously placed by a hand that orchestrates the universe. The number 4 symbolizes God's divine order, his perfect creation that holds everything in place. The 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, symbolize his dominion over the earth, ensuring stability and balance in a world that could so easily fall apart without his control. In the Bible, the 4 seasons reflect the completeness of God's cyclical nature, his reign over the earth, and the divine order that governs time itself. The 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, each offer a unique perspective on the life of Jesus, but together they present a complete picture of God's love and salvation. Every season of life, every part of creation, speaks of his perfect order. But the most profound revelation of the number 4 comes from Ezekiel's vision of the 4 living creatures, each with 4 faces and wings, standing as symbols of God's sovereignty over all creation. This divine order is not just a random collection of elements. It's perfectly structured to reveal God's absolute control over the universe. When you encounter the number 4, remember this. God's creation is not random. It is deliberate, purposeful, and filled with his divine order. Every creature, every season, every direction you face is a manifestation of his care for the world he created. Just as he ordered the universe, he is ordering your life too, even when you don't see it. Trust the process because God is at work in every moment, creating the divine order that sustains you. As we reflect on the number 4, let it remind you that God's design for you is complete, stable, and unwavering. When you feel uncertain, when life feels out of control, remember that God is holding everything together. His divine order is never disrupted, and neither are his plans for you. You are part of his perfect design, and every moment of your life is a reflection of his divine blueprint. Creation and divine order, the power of 4. The number 4 is a beacon of God's absolute control over creation, a divine rhythm that binds the cosmos together. When you think of 4, think of the foundations of the earth, unshakable, unmovable, and perfectly designed. Imagine the vast 4 seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall, each one with its own purpose, but each in perfect harmony with the others. The number 4 isn't just a number, it is the very structure of life itself. Think of the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. These directions are not just ways to find your way in the world. They symbolize God's dominion over the entire universe. Wherever you are, whichever direction you face, know that God's order and guidance is at work, bringing stability to your life. And it's no coincidence that the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, each offer a piece of the whole truth of Jesus Christ. Together, they give us a complete, unified portrait of who Jesus is and what he did for us. The 4 living creatures in Ezekiel's vision, each with 4 faces and wings, are a representation of God's perfect order, a reminder that he reigns over every part of creation. When you see the number 4, think of it as a divine seal on the earth, a confirmation that God is in control, ensuring that everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. Every time you encounter the number 4, let it remind you that God's order is unwavering, even when life feels chaotic. God has a perfect plan for you, and no matter what you face, he is holding the world together with his powerful hand. You may not always understand the why behind everything that happens, but know this: God's design for you is complete, stable, and full of purpose. Humanity and grace, the power of 5. Now, the number 5 brings us into the realm of humanity and grace, a beautiful paradox that reveals both our fragility and God's immeasurable love. Think of the 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, each one connecting us to the world around us in unique and powerful ways. God created us with these senses, and through them, we experience his creation in ways that go beyond just seeing or hearing. These senses are gifts from God, tools that allow us to experience His beauty, His provision, and His love. The 5 books of the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, form the foundation of God's law, showing us His heart, His will, and the path to righteousness. God's grace is woven through every page, reminding us that even when we fall short, His love and forgiveness are always available. And then there's the story of David and Goliath, where David chose 5 smooth stones to defeat the giant. The number 5 here symbolizes God's grace in action, showing that no matter how big the obstacle, God will provide what we need to overcome it. David didn't need all 5 stones to defeat Goliath, but they represented the faith and courage that God will always equip us with, no matter how impossible the task may seem. Jesus also performed the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000, using 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish to feed a multitude. This story is a powerful reminder that God's grace can multiply even the smallest gifts, turning them into something extraordinary. When you feel like you don't have enough, when you're overwhelmed by the challenges in front of you, remember, God's grace is sufficient. He will take what little you have and turn it into something beyond your imagination. When you look at the number 5, remember this: God sees you in all your humanity, your flaws and your fears, but He also sees His amazing grace working through you. He will always provide, and He will always show you that His grace is enough to get you through any challenge. Imperfection and humanity. The power of 6. Now we come to the number 6, a symbol of imperfection and the reality of humanity's struggle. 6 represents the shortcoming of humanity in contrast to God's divine perfection, symbolized by the number 7. On the 6th day, God created man, but man was not yet complete. We were created in His image, but we are still striving to reflect His perfection. Consider the 6-day work week, a reminder that we were created for work, but we were also created to rest on the 7th day, to acknowledge that true fulfillment comes not from our labor, but from God's grace. The number 6 points to the imperfection of our efforts, showing that, no matter how hard we try, we can never achieve complete perfection without God's help. And then there's Goliath, the giant who stood at 6 cubits and a span, a symbol of human pride and arrogance. Goliath thought he was invincible, but in the end, it was David, with his faith in God, who brought him down. The number 6 reminds us that human pride and self-sufficiency will always fall short in the face of God's power. We may try to be self-reliant, to do things on our own, but true strength comes when we recognize our dependence on God. The 666 in Revelation, the number of the beast, is the ultimate symbol of human rebellion and pride, representing a complete separation from God's divine order. It's the number of the Antichrist, the embodiment of everything that opposes God's will. 6 represents the imperfection of man, the striving without success, the reaching for what is unattainable without God. But here's the truth. 6 is not the end of the story. It's the reminder that we were created for perfection, and while we may fall short, we can always turn to God. 7 is the ultimate goal, the divine rest that only God can provide. So, when you face imperfection, when you struggle, remember that God's grace is greater than your flaws. You are not defined by your imperfections. You are defined by the grace of God that is available to you at every moment. Divine completion, the power of 7. The number 7 is more than just a number. It's the essence of divine perfection, the sacred completion of God's will. Imagine the world created in 7 days, each one a step closer to the divine rest, a rest that completes everything and makes it whole. God didn't need 7 days to create, but he chose 7 to show us the completion of his perfect plan. This was no ordinary sequence of days. Each one was carefully designed, each one symbolizing a step toward his ultimate goal. And at the end of it all, he rested and declared it good. 7 is also seen in the 7 seals and 7 trumpets of Revelation, representing the unfolding of God's complete plan for the world. When God acts, he does so in perfect fullness. His work is never partial, never incomplete. He moves in a complete divine cycle that is beyond our understanding, but always perfect in timing and execution. When you see 7, know that it's God's seal of divine completion. But let's bring this into your own life. You might feel like you're in the middle of a chaotic storm right now, like things are falling apart. But the truth is, God is working toward a divine completion in your life. It might not be obvious right now, but just as God took 7 days to perfect his creation, he is patiently bringing everything in your life into perfect alignment. Hold on to that. Rest in that. 7 is the promise of completion. God is not done with you yet. Divine government and order, the power of 12. 12 is the number of divine government, authority, and order. Think of the 12 tribes of Israel, the foundation of God's chosen people. Each tribe had its role in God's divine kingdom, and together they represented his complete rule over the earth. And then there's the 12 apostles, chosen by Jesus to spread the gospel and establish his church. Jesus didn't randomly select 12. He chose them for their role in the divine order of his mission. Each apostle, each tribe, had a purpose, and together they formed a complete system of divine governance that continues to affect us today. The New Jerusalem, as described in Revelation, has 12 gates, each representing the access we have to God's kingdom. This divine city is a perfect picture of God's order and authority, where there is no confusion, no chaos. It's a place where God reigns completely and perfectly. But here's where this number gets personal for you. 12 is not just a number for the Bible. It's a symbol of God's perfect order in your life. Everything, even the most chaotic moments, are a part of a greater plan. When life feels like it's spinning out of control, remember that God's divine government is at work. He is in control, even when you don't see it. Trust in his order. He will guide you, just as he guided his people from the very beginning. Testing, transformation, and purification. The power of 40. 40 is the number that marks a season of testing, purification, and transformation. The Israelites wandered the desert for 40 years, a journey that tested their faith, refined their hearts, and ultimately led them into the Promised Land. Moses spent 40 days and nights on Mount Sinai, receiving the law that would guide God's people. And then there's Jesus, who spent 40 days in the wilderness, being tested before he began his ministry. 40 isn't just about testing, it's about refinement. When God takes you through a season of 40, he is purifying your faith. You are not just going through hardship, you are being transformed into something stronger, something more aligned with his will. It's not easy, it's not quick, but it's always worth it. Think about your own life. Are you in a season of testing? Are you facing challenges that seem to go on forever? That's your 40. It's a season of preparation. God is working in you, shaping you into someone who is ready for the next step, just as he shaped the Israelites for the Promised Land. The number 40 doesn't just represent hardship. It represents the purification of your heart and soul. And when you come out of it, when you've passed through your season of 40, you'll be stronger, wiser, and more in tune with God's plan for your life. Trust that God is with you in the process. Your breakthrough is coming. You are being transformed for the better. Divine fulfillment and eternal promise, the power of 1,000. Now let's talk about the number 1,000. In the Bible, 1,000 represents divine fulfillment, a number that signals the ultimate completion of God's promises. When God promises something, he does not just deliver, he over-delivers. 1,000 signifies the abundance and fullness of his blessings, a promise that God's plan is more than enough. In Revelation, we see that Satan will be bound for 1,000 years, a period of divine peace and restoration. This time marks God's ultimate victory, a time when his kingdom is fully established and all things are made right. 1,000 represents the culmination of God's work, his victory over evil, his ultimate reign, and the eternal promise of life in his presence. But let's bring it home for you. 1,000 isn't just a number for the future. It's a promise for your life today. God's promises for you are not just for the here and now, but for all eternity. Whatever you are facing right now, whatever doubts, fears, or challenges, you can trust that God's fulfillment is coming. His promises are never empty, and he will bring about his plan in your life in abundance. Just as God promises peace and rest after a season of trial, he promises you restoration and fulfillment. Hold on, because what you are waiting for is more than you can imagine. The number 1,000 is a sign that God is working towards the ultimate fulfillment of his promises in your life. This is just the beginning of your journey. As you stand on the edge of your journey, you may feel overwhelmed, like the weight of the world is pressing down on you. The challenges of life seem endless, and the path ahead may appear unclear. But what if I told you that every obstacle you face is not just a test, but a part of God's perfect design for you? Every number in the Bible, every lesson, every struggle is woven into the fabric of your life for a reason. Just as the universe is filled with divine order, so too is your life being shaped by a higher purpose, a plan that only God can fully understand, but is always working for your good. When we talk about divine numbers, about the divine rhythm that runs through creation, we're not just speaking about abstract concepts or ancient texts. We're speaking about your life. Every struggle, every moment of victory, every twist and turn is part of a divine blueprint that was established long before you were born. God is always at work, even in the silence, even when you feel like nothing is happening. His plan for you is greater than you could ever imagine, and every moment you experience is one step closer to the fulfillment of that plan. It's easy to feel lost, to question why things happen the way they do. But remember, God's perfect timing is never late, and his purpose for you is always on track. The trials you face are not to break you, but to build you. The struggles you face are not punishment, but preparation. Each one of those obstacles is part of your transformation, leading you to become the person God always intended you to be. Think about the number 7, the number of completion. It reminds us that God's work is finished, and in him, we too can find completion. We might feel incomplete in this world, but through God we are being made whole. His purpose for your life is already set in motion, and every step you take is part of a greater story that only God can see from beginning to end. You are not lost. You are on the journey he planned for you, and every step you take brings you closer to that divine fulfillment. The road may not always be easy, but it is always worth it. And what about the number 12, a symbol of divine government and order? In the same way, God's authority is upon your life, guiding you, protecting you, and showing you the path forward. You are never alone. God's sovereignty over your life is absolute, and when you trust in him, you can be certain that he is always leading you toward his perfect plan. Even in the moments when you feel like you are wandering, know that his hand is steady on you, guiding you every step of the way. Just as the 12 tribes of Israel were chosen to fulfill a divine purpose, so too are you. You have been chosen by God for his purpose, and he is working all things together for your good. Trust in that. Even when you can't see the way ahead, God is preparing the path for you, just as he prepared a place for the 12 tribes in the promised land. The number 40 is a symbol of trial, testing, and transformation. The Israelites wandered for 40 years to be purified, and Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness, enduring trials before stepping into his calling. 40 is not just a number, it is a process of growth, a time when God refines our faith and strengthens us for the mission he has set before us. If you are going through a period of testing, a time of hardship, know this: you are being transformed. What you are going through right now is not just a trial, it is preparation for something greater. God doesn't waste pain. Every hardship you face is leading you to something better, and just as the Israelites emerged from the wilderness stronger and more faithful, so will you. Your breakthrough is coming. Don't lose hope. Keep pressing forward because God is using this season to prepare you for something greater than you can imagine. Trust the process. Trust the transformation. And in this journey, remember that God's promises are eternal. The number 1000 speaks of divine fulfillment and the eternal promise of restoration. God's plan for your life is not just about today, it's about eternity. His promises for you are not just temporary solutions, but eternal blessings that will carry you through this life and into the next. You are not just living for today, you are living for eternity. So as you continue this journey, remember that God is with you every step of the way. His divine plan is unfolding in your life, and every struggle, every victory, every moment is leading you closer to his eternal promises. If you feel like you are struggling, if you feel like you are lost, know that God is working in you. You are never alone. His divine order is at work in you, shaping you, guiding you toward fulfillment and victory. If this message has touched your heart, if you feel that it's given you hope or strength, I ask you to support this journey we're on together. If this video has brought light into your life, if it's helped you see a glimpse of the divine plan unfolding in your own story, I invite you to join me. Your support, whether big or small, means the world to me. Every time you like, comment, and subscribe, you're not just supporting the channel, you're helping spread the truth and love of God's word to others who need it. Let's keep this community growing and continue to share God's message with the world. Together we can spread the light, the hope, and the love that can change lives. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this journey. Your support is a blessing, and I'm excited to continue walking this path with you. God bless you always.